Alright, fam. Welcome to Whatever Wednesday, the first episode of such, the inaugural. We are officially halfway through the work week, and what are we washing it down with this time? Green Man ESB, Special Amber Ale. Remember, just one. It is a school night. Alright, first up, some updates on gear. Number one. Got myself a looper pedal. A Ditto looper from TC Electronic. I have never owned a looper pedal before, so I'm pretty excited to try that out. I have a handful, I think two, other short tunes that I'm working on right now that'll come out before I do any kind of short tune with this. So I might just make like a separate video where, I don't know where I am on the camera. I might just make a separate video where I just kind of mess around with this and see what I can do with it. Whatever. If you're interested in that, let me know. Comment below. Secondly, and maybe more importantly, I don't know, is I have a pre-order for the Supro Delta King amplifier. I got the 1 watt version with an 8-inch speaker. Yeah, 1 watt. And yeah, an 8-inch speaker. Sure, that speaker's smaller than... So they claim it's absolutely perfect for bedroom guitarists because of its small wattage and size. That is literally how they advertise it, so we're going to be putting that to the test. As stated, even with the Blues Junior over here, it's a 15 watt amp, and they make a 15 watt version of the Delta King. But it didn't make much sense to get another amp of the same wattage. The problem I'm having is even at that lower wattage, it's still pretty darn loud, this thing. So as stated in my last video, it's not really, I don't have a lot of time where it's cool that I plug in my guitar to my amp and just kind of rattle walls, even at a low volume. It's either the volume is too low and it doesn't sound good to record. By the time I get the volume up to a point where it sounds good on a recording, it's kind of too loud to be playing like at night, you know. But with the Delta King, again, it literally advertises itself as being great for people who are in small spaces and need that kind of quality audio at a lower volume. So we'll see how that turns out. Also, it says it has a direct line out that I could plug right into an interface, I guess, if I wanted to. I'm going to be trying that out. And if that's true, I could bypass the speaker altogether, I assume, is how that works. And it'll go straight into... I could plug it from my amp right into my interface and potentially then be able to work on music at any time of the day, which would be fantastic because I can get a lot done. But we'll see. We'll see how that works. That's going to get its own video when it comes. That is all thanks to Sweetwater allowing you to pay in small installments instead of having to pay for it all at once. Oh, Sweetwater! That is how that was able to happen, although it doesn't come until late March, so that's when we can expect that. They didn't give me a date. They just said late March. And they don't take a payment until they actually ship the thing. So, everyone out there, please, fingers crossed that there's going to be money in my account whenever that day comes. You can help with that by supporting at patreon.com/thesadkingbilly or making a direct donation to the PayPal link down below. But anyway, enough housekeeping. Let's talk about a little music. These are musical recommendations. This is probably what most of these Wednesdays are going to be about. Songs throughout the week that I run into and that I'm excited about or enjoyed and want to share and say, hey, maybe check this out. I liked it, maybe you'll like it too. All the music I'm about to talk about, there's a link to each thing down into the in the description below. So if you feel compelled to check any of them out, please check them out. I hope you do, otherwise I wouldn't be bothering with this. First up, squeaking just under the wire, is a new song from Palehound, a favorite of mine. Came out just yesterday, I do believe. Palehound is, I guess, like a singer-songwriter, indie type. I saw in an article she had once described herself as journal rock, and if you listen to a lot of her stuff, that makes sense in a weird way. I don't know how to exactly explain to you why journal rock makes sense, but it's like the rock, the indie rock of reading somebody's journal. But just check her out; she's great. Anyway, new song from her called How Long. On our post from her Instagram, she says that it is about tiny moments of sweetness within the pandemic. and how much they can hurt. This is inspired by a true story of a day last summer when I met friends at a swimming hole only to realize it was infested with water snakes. Shortly after that realization, a hailstorm came from out of nowhere, and the whole thing was just comically biblical and on the nose. This particular song sounds a little more like country folk, like bluegrassy almost, which is a little different for her, but still unmistakably very much a Palehound song. So if you'd like this, definitely go check out the rest of her stuff. Black Friday is a great album. This song's not on that album, it's just a good album. All right, next up, Harley Poe, You're a Witch. That's the song that was recommended to me. There's a whole new Harley Poe album out that is called 7 Inches of Hell. And you could take that title and you could click on the link and see the album artwork, and you could tell, you can make up your own mind on what exactly that might mean. If you're a fan of Harley Poe already, you're going to feel pretty at home on this album. It definitely sounds like him. You know what ticket you're buying. That's the ticket you're getting. If you don't know Harley Poe already, this particular album sounds a little more punky than a lot of his other stuff. I'm sure there's a name for it. Post-punk, doom punk, grime punk. I'm making up names. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe those are actual genres. Someone out there knows every subgenre of every subgenre, but I am not that guy. I'm going to tell you right now. It's punk or punk adjacent. That's the best you're getting out of me. But I'll tell you what. What's wild is Apple Music has this listed as a metal album, which I am almost positive it is not even close to being. I'm not even joking about that. Look. Metal. Anyway, as stated, the song suggested to me was You're a Witch. You could check it out for yourself and just decide on your own just how metal or punk adjacent it is. Third up, self-titled album by Billy Cobb, fellow YouTuber. He has released a self-titled album, and like all the music he makes, it's pretty damn good. If you're a fan of sort of old school emo from like the late 90s to early 2000s era, you know what I mean? When before emo just meant My Chemical Romance or Fall Out Boy. I don't know how this kid pumps out the amount of quality music that he does, but damn, man. I have the entire album linked below because that's just how he launched on his channel, but if you don't have the patience for that, it's about a half hour, I believe. Actually, let me check for you real quick. Yeah, 31 minutes and 19 seconds. So if you don't have the patience or want to listen to the whole thing, but you want a taste of maybe what it's like, at least check out Zuzu's Petals, which is a song. I have a link to that separately right below it. Even if you don't like any of this, still go check out his channel because he makes a bunch of different stuff, different types of music, memes. For example, the way I found his channel was he made an album called Zer-Wee. Picture on screen. This is an album where he basically decided to make a Weezer album in the style of the old school Weezer, you know, the one that we all miss from the Blue Album and Pinkerton days. And he did it again a few months ago with Zer-Wee Part 2, and let me tell you, honestly, these are two of the best Weezer albums that Weezer never made. Which is a spectacular segue to the rest of this video. An album which Weezer did make. OK Human. Did you guys know this was coming? Because I sure didn't. Last I knew, Van Weezer, their sort of 80s metal tribute, whatever, was set to come out sometime last year, was pushed back due to the pandemic, and still isn't out. And then this new album just pops up out of nowhere. What? I'm going to tell you right now, I am a Weezer slut. I'm a big fan of this band. Even during their dark days, their attitude days, when everyone was like, ah, man, Weezer's done. It looked like the band was like on its last legs, about to keel over. I still found it in me to defend them, even then. So I tell you that just so you know that there's going to be some bias in my opinion of OK Human. Spoiler alert, I loved it. But I do think that even separated from that, this is a really good album, and you can enjoy it too. Whether you're an old school Weezer fan or you're new, check it out. At least listen to it. I'm pretty sure every song is on YouTube somewhere for free, so see if you like it. I want to say, I went to a Weezer concert once, and it was a bizarre event because there was just different pockets of Weezer fans all around. When I say that, I mean, like, there was folks like me who just were, like, general fans and were like, hey, we like Weezer, so we're here. There was two teenage girls that sat in front of me. They were, I don't know what teenage year, but they were young, and they got super excited when songs from Ratitude came on. Like, those are the ones they knew. That was their Weezer, the sort of pop Weezer. There was some dude in his 30s who was drunk and just didn't want to hear anything that wasn't off the Blue album. He was like, "Oh, my," that's his Weezer. There was like these dude bro frat boys who were just so totally stoked to hear anything come off of Make Believe. That's their Weezer. Weezer has made, despite all of their albums sounding definitively like Weezer in some way, they have just gone in so many different directions that there's just different groups of people who have their version of Weezer. Like my first real introduction was the Red album. Probably not a lot of huge Red album fans, but that's where I came in, and then everything else I found out about retroactively. Like, yeah, Blue album was my favorite, but like I started with Red. That was my first favorite Weezer thing, was Red album. It was just such a bizarre album. The first time I heard the song Pork and Beans, I'm like, I've never heard anything like this. And I love it. And actually, I get a lot of Red album vibes a little bit from this album. The songwriting, the way the songs are put together. It feels a little Red album-y to me. Red album that's been dragged through a field of magical mystery tour. I only brought up that story to show that it's kind of impossible to, pinpoint, is this a good Weezer album? Because that just means so many different things to so many different people. Depending on which Weezer sect you belong to, this could either be the best ever or the worst ever. But anyway, I loved it. No surprise. And as I said, despite being such a fan, I do think that Removed, you will like it too. It's a pretty solid album. You know what's funny? The little description on Apple Music, it said that there's no electric guitars on the album. I didn't even notice that the first time listening through. I was actually shocked to find out that it was all orchestra and piano and stuff like that. When I went back and listened to it again, I was like, yeah, wow. No electric guitars anywhere. It really feels like there should be. Yeah, this album kind of knocked my socks off. I was shocked how much I enjoyed it. Which is great because the last few have been, it's been a while. I loved the White Album. I mean, I loved the White Album, especially it following after Everything Will Be Alright in the End, which was Weezer's apology album, essentially. They came back after kind of floundering what their sound was and who they were as a band with Everything Will Be Alright in the End, which almost every song lyrically was like, hey, sorry about that, which was great for Weezer fans. We really needed to hear that at that time. But despite that, and despite that being considered by many fans as one of their best albums, I thought it was okay. I thought it played it pretty safe in a lot of areas and was too afraid to go too nuts. And the places where it did kind of dare to be a little strange, it didn't really pay off. But White Album popped out, and it was like, they're back. Weezer's not only back, but they're back in prime form. If you were to remove the 20 years of BS, and you just showed me Blue Album, and then you showed me Pinkerton, and then you showed me White Album, I would be like, yeah, that is a believable evolution for a band. They went from this to that to that. I get it. This is consistent. That's not how it happened, but that's how good the White Album was, at least in my opinion. It was on par with their first two that everyone considers to be their best. Well, maybe not on par, but it was pretty darn good. I think one of their best albums ever for sure. Definitely, I thought it was better than Everything Will Be Alright in the End. But then Pacific Daydream comes out, and it's like, there's a few songs I like. It's not my least favorite. And then Black Album comes along, and man, I spun that record so many times just trying to convince myself that I liked it. But despite that, I don't know if I can name you 2 songs off of it that I even remember. Zombie Bastards and High as a Kite. Those ones are okay off the Black Album. And I had to look those up. Zombie Bastards I remember the name of because that's the hook of the song. And High as a Kite, I actually forgot existed as a song, despite once I heard it again thinking, this is a great song. I remembered liking it a lot on Black Album, and I liked it a lot when I heard it now. But for some reason, I just totally forgot it existed, probably because it's on this album that I just cannot bring myself to go back and listen to. So, very, very thrilled when OK Human comes out, and it's a treat. I mean, so River said that this is an album about isolation and self-doubt and loneliness and things like that. Boy, the timing on that couldn't have been any better. Apparently, they've been working on it for a while, and I think that it was definitely helped by the pandemic, because we all can relate to a lot of this stuff a lot better. You know, I mean, there's a lot of relatable themes in it, but it just feels like there's a little extra now that we've all kind of been in lockdown for a while. Such as a song like Grapes of Wrath, which, despite there being other songs I like better, that one has probably gotten stuck in my head more than any other tune. It's so dang catchy, and it's literally a song about spacing out, putting on some headphones, and listening to your favorite audiobook on Audible. I'm surprised he didn't throw out like a sponsorship link somewhere in the lyrics. Did he get paid for that? Despite it seeming like some brazen product placement, which I have no idea if it is. That's a catchy ass song. The lead single, hold on, let me get my Apple Music open. The lead single that they used to advertise the album, All My Favorite Songs, I mean, it starts the album off and had me from there. Jeez. Just that one line about, it says, I love parties, but I don't go, and then I feel bad when I stay home. Right off the bat, I'm like, why you gotta call me out? Why you gotta do that to me, man? The song Numbers is another huge standout. I mean, it's a softer one. It's somewhat dramatic, and it's just about how we are constantly trying to quantify our own value, I guess, based on things that really don't have much to do with us. You know, you kind of forget to internally understand your own value, and you look at these sort of external sources of validation for being what it is. You know, Weezer is not always known for being the most nuanced of songwriters, but for what it is and what it's trying to do, it sure could have gone a lot worse, and I was pretty impressed by the emotions that it stirred in me. There's another song on the album that could kind of be considered like the, you know, watch out for the what do they call it, technophobia, and it's called Screens, and that one is a lot more on the nose, and therefore it's a lot less interesting. That's probably the weakest point on the album, and it's not even a bad song. It's just at that point you're like, all right, let's get on with it. And I feel like it's good to compare to the song Numbers to show what Numbers did very well. Screens is basically, you know, like, oh, you're on your screen all the time, you damn kids, on your phone. Yeah, all right. I mean, again, I guess they could have said it dumber, but it's not particularly clever in the way that they do it. If you want a better version of the song of that kind of explores the idea of us being addicted to technology and the detriments of that, there's a better sort of approach to it. For comparison's sake, this is why I'm bringing it up. It's called Total Entertainment Forever by Father John Misty off of the Pure Comedy album. If you haven't heard that song, go give it a listen. It definitely kind of touches the same theme in a way that makes you think a little bit more about it. It's not so much like, everyone's looking at their screens. That's bad. But yeah, that's really, as I said, that's kind of the weakest point in the album, and that's not really a very weak point. The album being pure orchestra and piano, I mean, it just works in its favor. This album feels almost like it's an antithesis, actually, to Pure Comedy, now that I think about the album that I just mentioned. Whereas that album, Father John Misty's Pure Comedy, it's sort of apocalyptic. You know what I mean? It's we have created our own demise through these things. Whereas OK Human feels like, yeah, they're not great, but like we're kind of figuring ourselves out, and there's this strange sort of uplifting sense of optimism throughout a lot of this album. Like, I didn't come off of this album feeling bad. When I finished Pure Comedy, I was like, oh my god. But finishing OK Human, I felt like, okay, we're human, you know. I guess that was the point. Yeah, I suppose I don't have too much else to say on it before I've been rambling long enough. It's been long enough. There you go, Wednesday show. Pretty painless. These will get a little tighter and neater and a little more interesting, hopefully, as I get used to making them. As I've said in I guess I haven't said in other videos, and some of the Patreon videos where I'm a little more talkative. I mentioned that it's weird talking to a camera. It's a strange thing to do. I want you to try that, actually. Go ahead, set up your camera somewhere, and then start talking to it as if it's a person. It's a weird sensation. So, you know, I'm not like totally comfortable on camera or like I wrote up a sort of script to make sure I hit on points, and boy, I just kind of blanked while trying to talk about it, but whatever. We'll get there. I'll get better at this. You're here for the ride. Thanks for coming. If you want to help me out, you can go ahead and like the video, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. You know how this works. You know what YouTube is. Down in the description below, I have links to Patreon and the PayPal link if you want to help me out financially. And also links, there's a link tree link to all other social medias that you can go ahead and follow me. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the nonsense. I'm on there. And then, of course, the links to any of the music that I suggested today. So I hope you do at least check it out. So yeah, stay tuned. New music is coming. Probably not this upcoming Monday, but the Monday after. Maybe this Monday, but most likely the Monday after. And if that ends up being the case, then I'll just see you next Wednesday. Cheers.